Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another manga review for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, manga chapter 87, titled Ripper vs. Rapper. So, if you haven't come to the realization, that is the exact same title I used in the last video, and you know what? I'm gonna use it in this video too, because guess what? I called it in advance, but still, that's basically what this chapter is and what the previous chapter was kind of about. In this chapter for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, pretty much for the most part, we get the just continuation of the flashback, and we get the continuation of the fight between Ripper and Rapper, as well as potential cameos of some cool heroes that we've seen before in the past. But yeah, basically from what I'm seeing in this chapter as well as this flashback is going to be focusing on just the history of Overclock, of Knuckle Duster, of Ripper, and how he learned more about the drugs, and basically to get a feel of what he was, or the type of person that he was before he lost his quirk. So most likely we're going to see a lot of build up until the point that he loses his quirk, and most likely a little bit about it. But in this chapter specifically, we're focusing solely on Ripper versus Rapper, Knuckle Duster versus Rapper. And really, that's pretty much all this chapter is. And before we get into the actual review and the nitty gritty of it, I'd like to ask y'all to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Big Blue Drew 97, as well as leave a like and a comment down below if you like this video and if you like this chapter. Talk about it in the comments down below. And without the way, let's get right into the chapter. So we start the chapter off with a cover page of Ripper, also known as Knuckle Duster. I may flip-flop between Ripper, Knuckle Duster, as well as Rapper and Rapper, but we see Knuckle Duster, Ripper, in the cage with Rapper standing over him. And something interesting that we have to remember is that even though this takes place 7 years ago, where we also know that Rapper has had 10 straight wins in this cage match, we also have to remember that this story is kind of like filling in the gaps between like the past, where the original like quirks, and where the story of like the Shining Baby occurred, and before the actual canon of the story with Midoriya beating All Might. So with that in mind, we have Rapper, who has not been defeated at all, going up against Knuckle Duster, and we have to keep in mind that the first defeat that Rapper ever was defeated was with Overhaul. So it's really a cool idea to have this fight being played out, is because we do know like how it's going to end up, or do we? Because we also know the type of person that Knuckle Duster is, and we know that with his quirk he's very strong, and that's basically what the first part of this chapter is like alluding to, because we see that Knuckle Duster, Ripper, is fighting against Rapper, and we get kind of like a flashback within a flashback where we look back on how this fight began, with basically Rapper like saying like, oh, I normally don't want to fight people with a knife, but you know what, I'll fight you if you want to. As we kind of get a different side of this fight. We got the larger picture fight of them talking to each other, but now we're getting into the mental aspect of it, the tactics that Knuckle Duster is going with, or even maybe refer to him as what he is now, as Overclock. So we have Overclock, who's thinking about the situation that he's fighting against Rapper, and how this dude is actually crazy, as we get the scene of him like saying that he's gonna go and kill him, and how he doesn't really like guys and judge people by that way. But during this time, we see that the reason why Ripper, also known as Overclock, lost the knife and lost his mask wasn't because Rapper like punched it out of him because he's that strong, but that Overclock planned it in that way, because he's talking about how how the blade is slowing him down, because he's not going to be able to fight someone like this with a knife, so he has to lose the knife naturally, as well as he has to lose his mask naturally as well, because it would hinder him from breathing and using his quirk Overclock, which we get a little bit more context to how he's able to use Overclock, or what the essential need for Overclock is that he needs to breathe and gather more oxygen. He said that he needs a huge amount of oxygen, which makes sense because Overclock is a quirk based in the user's brain, where it's able to kind of like change the perception of time, like surrounding the user, so that the user can like move faster. So basically, what the quirk does is that it uses a large amount of oxygen. The brain changes the perception of the world that the user is looking at, so that they're able to move faster. And for that to work, the brain needs a huge amount of oxygen, because normally in normal biology, the brain needs just oxygen to work. But for it to use overclock, it needs a lot more oxygen, meaning that overclock needs to breathe more, hence why he lost the mask. So this just shows that in the fight, he lost the knife, he lost the mask, but that's all a part of his plan. He's thinking about this while he's fighting this bruiser. And even while he's doing all of this, he comes to a realization of what type of quirk Rappa has, which is basically strong arm, where he's able to basically dislocate and relocate a soldier so that he can have his punches hit harder and faster. And he recognizes this while he's defending these flurry of punches. So this just shows like how experienced he is as a hero while he's using this quirk. And while he's doing all this, he's also trying to defend so that he's able to gather up his breathing, and he's trying to find an opening to attack with his quirk. But then you have to think about it. If he's able to think this like fast ahead, and like he's able to think about this wouldn't line up with the fact that Rappa has been undefeated. So how is he going to get out of this? Because he begins thinking about how like he made all of this prep for the knife and now it's useless. Now he has to act like a brawler. So it seems as if he's about to go all in. He's about to fight for real. Then we cut away from it, but it's But it's okay. It's okay, because we cut back to Fat Gum 7 to 8 years ago in his standard weight, and he's looking like an actual snack, carrying a snack of, if I remember correctly, is takoyaki, which is just octopus balls, as he's talking to these three girls. They're all looking cute, they're looking adorable. One of them is wearing a takoyaki hat, and how they're basically like talking about how, oh hey, we're heroes, yeah, we're good at hero school, and how Fat Gum's like, oh, so you're basically my colleagues, and well, it's nice to meet you, would you like some takoyaki? So he's being very friendly. So this just shows that even though he may be like a little bit younger, he still always like loves to talk to children, loves like be around children, make them happy, like give them food. He's always been like this. But then you have one of these girls that just leaves the group a little bit as she begins like smelling the air, as the other girls are talking to Fat Gum as he leaves. You have the girls question like, hey, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? And you have this one girl, she's like, I smell blood in the air. There's a battle nearby, as her friends question what she's doing as she jumps away, as one of the girls call out, Ruko. I wonder who this person is. I mean, we don't know. We don't know the color of their hair. We don't know the color of their skin. Anyway, from there, we cut back over to the fight between Rappa and Ripper, also known as Overclock, as Rappa is just going in. He's enjoying the fight. He's liking how this dude is able to, like, take all these punches and, like, defend, and, like, how he's having a good fight with him. And then he's doing all of this, and then you have Overclock, who's thinking about how he needs to find an opening to use Overclock. And how this dude's brain is just freaking crazy. How Rappa isn't thinking, he's fighting on impulse, fighting on reflexes. As Rappa is saying that he's enjoying the fight. This is great, mister, as he goes in for a punch. And you have the final thoughts of Ripper in this moment. How this guy, Rappa, is a veteran pit bull, and that he's a fun guy. As we see Rappa come into the punch, we don't see the punch land, but we see that Ripper is knocked out on the ground, and then he is immediately taken to like kind of like the hospital. Oops. And we see that he's kind of taken to the hospital area, where we see, if you remember, like the wolf guy and the Chinese drunk master, they're fully injured. They are hurt, so they're basically in the hospital-like area. And something that I would like to bring up is that we don't know whether or not Rappa actually hit Ripper, also known as Overclock, but most likely than not, he didn't. Most likely than not, Ripper took this L on purpose, because you have Rappa who says, oh, thinking that, oh, he's knocked out, but I thought he was tougher than this, as we see that he has this kind of shocked expression on his face, thinking like, someone like this should have been able to take the hit. So I think that he's faking it. Most likely than not, Overclock is faking his injury, and it's most likely that he's faking it because we also don't see his eyes. And if we don't see the eyes of a character, we cannot say definitively that they are knocked out. So most likely he's faking it, because we get this one doctor-looking guy who was talking about how the match was something to behold, Ripper, and how like you were able to escape their clutches this time, but now that they're in this underground area, how they're going to help him and how they prepare for this so that he can have a rematch for a future and win, as we see this guy pulling out a syringe. So most likely, Overclock faked the loss in this fight so that he can get some of them sweet, sweet drug dealers and beat them up and take them into justice, because he's a true hero. But suddenly, we get a girl, a fairly dark-skinned girl, who's sniffing the air and apparently has bunny ears and is looking at the location where the cage match is, as we get the reveal, technically somewhat, not really, of Mirko and how she's ready to fight. And specifically what she says is, how dare they leave me out of all the fun. So we're gonna have Mirko in this flashback, which you know is a plus, because as we know, Mirko is best bunny girl. Don't at me. Carrot is number 2. I'm joking. Carrot is always number 1. But in My Hero Academia, Mirko is best bunny girl. And the fact that we're going to see her in this young age, as well as the fact that she has both of her arms and both of her ears, it's going to be fun. So that's pretty much the end of the chapter. Overall, I really did enjoy this chapter. It's nothing really to write home about, because it is still like the stepping stones to building up Overclock's flashback. But I did find it a little interesting that we get to learn more about Overclock before he became Knuckle Duster, and like how he used his quirk and how he was more tactical. Because in like even in the current story, we show that he is tactical, but now we're seeing like more layers to it. Like how tactical he really is, how he had this plan, and like it was really thought out very well, and how he's able to observe his enemies and deduce their abilities on the spot. But we also get to see like how he can really improvise. So overall, I really did enjoy that, and I also just enjoyed the cameos of like an even younger Fat Gum in the story, and even seeing Mirko most likely playing a part in this flashback. That's going to be cool. I can't wait for next chapter to see that, and hopefully you can't either. So overall, I thought this was a really good chapter. Nothing to really write home about, but still really loved it. Still real enjoyed it. Just seeing the fight between Rapper and Ripper is amazing. Can't say really think anything like wholeheartedly, like really negative about this chapter. So hopefully you enjoyed this chapter. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. I really loved making it, reviewing it. Really love My Hero Academia Vigilantes, because hopefully you loved it too. Maybe you want to leave a like. Maybe you want to leave a comment on what you think is going to happen in the next chapter. Most likely or not, we're going to see Overclock jump up, destroy like this doctor with the drugs, or most likely try to find a way to capture the doctor, capture the drug, try to take everyone in. Mirko's probably going to interject when everything is going right or anything's going wrong, and we're just going to be building more and more and more on Overclock as a person before he became Knuckle Duster. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you'll leave it a like, leave it a comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel BigBlueDrew97, and I will hopefully catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.